the day after Ukraine unleashed an astonishing drone raid deep inside Russia.
The number of tanks Russia has lost in Ukraine is staggering.
And little Ukraine proves that they have the ability.
7 tanks obliterated, millions in fire and smoke, and all it took was a drone smaller than your hand. This is the rise of the $3 battlefield weapon, changing everything we thought about modern warfare. Here's how a drone you can build for pocket change just altered the rules of land warfare. When one low-cost drone can neutralize a convoy worth tens of millions, the balance between technology and raw military spending is suddenly upended. The implications for both strategy and defense budgets are immediate and far-reaching. The question now is simple. How does a $3 device achieve what entire armored divisions are built to prevent? The $3 weapon that changed everything. On today's battlefield, the $3 drone has become a symbol of how ingenuity and adaptability can upend long-standing military assumptions. The story begins with a Ukrainian strike that left a column of Russian armored vehicles, T-90M tanks and BMP-3 infantry fighting vehicles, burning and abandoned. These machines, each worth millions, were destroyed not by advanced missiles or heavy artillery, but by drones assembled from consumer-grade components and launched by operators with little more than a few hours of training. The core of this weapon's impact lies in its simplicity and accessibility. Built from cheap hobby parts, batteries, and 3D printed frames, each drone costs just a few dollars to assemble. Operators use modified gaming controllers and commercial action cameras to steer the drone and stream live video, giving them a direct, first-person view of the battlefield. The payload is equally straightforward. A single, well-documented example is the RKG-3 anti-tank grenade. Adapted from old Soviet stockpiles and fitted to the drone's frame. On impact, the warhead detonates, delivering enough force to penetrate even the thick armor of a modern main battle tank. The economics of this approach are stark. While a single T-90M tank represents an investment of nearly $5 million, its destruction can be accomplished by a device worth less than a fast food meal. The disparity is not just financial, it changes the calculus of risk and reward. Deploying expensive armor near the front lines now carries a far higher chance of catastrophic loss. On the other side, the cost to Ukraine for each attack is negligible, and new drones can be built overnight using widely available parts. During the strike that brought these drones to global attention, Ukrainian operators launched multiple devices in quick succession. Each drone, flying at low altitude and guided by a live video feed, homed in on its target with precision. The footage released from these attacks shows the drones weaving through obstacles, closing the final distance, and then the sudden eruption of fire as the warhead detonates. The aftermath: columns of scorched vehicles, their value erased in seconds. This tactical shift is not just about the hardware. The drone's effectiveness relies on the ability to improvise and adapt. Local workshops and civilian volunteers play a critical role, producing and assembling components at scale. The decentralized nature of this production means bottlenecks are rare and losses can be quickly replaced. The traditional military supply chain, often slow and centralized, cannot keep pace with such flexible, grassroots manufacturing. The result is a new kind of asymmetry. Russia's armored vehicles, designed to withstand conventional threats, are now exposed to attacks from above, where their armor is weakest. The $3 drone exploits this vulnerability, bypassing expensive defense systems and electronic countermeasures. Each successful strike is more than a tactical victory. It is a demonstration that economic power and technological complexity are no longer decisive on their own. What makes this development even more significant is its scalability. The low cost and ease of assembly allow Ukraine to field large numbers of drones, overwhelming traditional defenses through sheer volume. Training civilians to operate these devices further expands the pool of potential pilots, accelerating the cycle of innovation and deployment. In this environment, expensive, slow-to-replace assets become liabilities rather than strengths. The destruction of a single convoy is not just a story about lost equipment. It signals a fundamental change in how wars are fought. The $3 drone forces military planners to reconsider the value of heavy armor, the effectiveness of established defenses, and the very nature of battlefield dominance. The shockwaves from this encounter are still reverberating as armies around the world confront the reality that their most advanced vehicles can be neutralized by tools built in garages and basements. The vulnerabilities exposed by these attacks have raised urgent questions about the survivability of Russian armor and the effectiveness of its defenses. As the conflict continues, the world is watching to see how traditional military power responds to a threat that is cheap, adaptable, and nearly impossible to stop with existing technology. Why Russian armor stands no chance. A single drone's camera feed captures the moment. A T-90 tank is struck from above, its turret launched skyward by the force of the explosion. This is not an isolated incident. Scenes like this have become a defining feature of the conflict, illustrating in stark detail why Russian armor continues to suffer catastrophic losses against Ukraine's low-cost drone threat. Russian tanks, such as the T-90M and BMP-3, are designed to withstand traditional anti-tank missiles, artillery, and direct fire. Their armor is thickest at the front and sides, and they are equipped with advanced optics and sensors. However, these vehicles were never optimized to defend against small, agile drones that attack from above or from unexpected angles. The upper surfaces of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles remain comparatively thin, leaving them exposed to top-attack munitions. When a drone approaches from just a few meters above ground, it exploits this vulnerability, bypassing the strongest armor and targeting the weakest points. Modern active protection systems, APS, are built to intercept guided missiles and rockets by detecting and destroying them before impact. These systems rely on radar and optical sensors to track incoming threats along predictable trajectories. However, APS struggles with unpredictable, low-flying FPV drones that approach outside standard engagement envelopes. Drones can maneuver erratically, fly at low altitudes, and change speed and direction at the last moment. Tactics that defeat the algorithms and sensor arrays of most current APS models. As a result, even Russia's most advanced tanks often fail to react in time to prevent a drone strike. Convoy tactics further increase vulnerability. Russian armored columns often travel in tight formations to maintain logistical coordination and mutual support. While this approach is effective against ground ambushes, it creates ideal conditions for aerial attacks. Drones can single out vehicles at the center or rear of a column, striking without warning and causing immediate disruption. A single disabled tank can block movement, forcing the entire convoy to halt and exposing additional vehicles to follow on attacks. The resulting traffic jam not only increases the risk of further losses, but also complicates efforts to recover damaged equipment or evacuate wounded personnel. Camouflage and concealment efforts have proven insufficient against drone surveillance. In the open fields of eastern Ukraine, armored vehicles stand out against the landscape, their shapes and heat signatures easily detected by cameras and thermal sensors. Attempts to disguise tanks with netting or improvised paint schemes offer little protection against a drone operator viewing the battlefield in real time. Once a vehicle is spotted, the operator can adjust the drone's flight path with precision, compensating for movement or obstacles and guiding the payload to the target. Electronic warfare (EW) systems intended to jam communications and disrupt drone operations have also fallen short. While Russian EW units can interfere with some drone signals, the decentralized and rapidly shifting nature of the front makes consistent coverage difficult to maintain. Ukrainian operators often rely on consumer-grade controllers and video transmitters, which use frequencies and protocols unfamiliar to military jamming equipment. As a result, many drones reach their targets unimpeded, and even brief lapses in EW coverage can be exploited by experienced pilots. The psychological effect on Russian crews is significant. Russian crews report constant dread under the whistle of small drones overhead. The knowledge that a silent, almost invisible threat could appear at any moment erodes confidence and increases fatigue. Crews now spend more time scanning the skies than focusing on their primary tasks, and the stress of continuous exposure to drone attacks undermines morale. In some documented cases, crews have abandoned vehicles at the first sign of a drone, fearing a direct strike. Each destroyed vehicle represents not only a material setback, but also a blow to operational momentum and unit cohesion. The cost-benefit equation has shifted dramatically, with expensive armoured assets rendered vulnerable by tools assembled for a fraction of their value. This transformation on the battlefield has forced both sides to rethink their approach to armoured warfare. The challenge for Russia is not just to adapt its defences, but to understand how a decentralised, rapidly evolving threat can negate decades of investment in traditional military hardware. The answer to this challenge lies in the origins and evolution of Ukraine's drone program, a story shaped by necessity, innovation, and the drive to overcome overwhelming odds. The rise of Ukraine's DIY drone army. Ukraine's rapid emergence as a leader in drone warfare can be traced to the early days of the conflict, when engineers and hobbyists converted consumer drones into early reconnaissance tools, then evolved them into kamikaze weapons. Lacking a formal drone infrastructure, the country turned to its civilian population, private companies, and volunteer networks. This decentralized mobilization produced a flexible and resilient supply chain where electronics shops, 3D printing businesses, and even gaming hardware suppliers became integral to the war effort. The initial wave of innovation saw small teams adapting off-the-shelf drones for battlefield surveillance, providing real-time intelligence that traditional methods could not match. As the war progressed, these ad hoc units shifted their focus from observation to direct action. The process was iterative. Each battlefield success led to further refinements, with drones modified to carry explosive payloads and strike with increasing precision. Crowdfunding and private donations fueled the expansion, allowing for broader participation and rapid scaling. Reports suggest high-volume output, with assembly lines ranging from professional factories to makeshift workshops in basements and garages. The emphasis remained on speed and adaptability. Airframes were adjusted for different missions, batteries and rotors sourced from consumer markets, and 3D printed parts enabled quick design changes. Hardware alone, however, did not define Ukraine's approach. The training and deployment of operators became a crucial force multiplier. Rather than relying solely on military personnel, Ukraine recruited civilians, many with backgrounds in gaming or technology. Training programs condensed the essentials of FPV drone piloting into short, intensive courses. One notable example involved experienced gamers who quickly adapted their reflexes and spatial awareness to VR headset drone controls, demonstrating high levels of accuracy and composure even under battlefield stress. These operators, connected by Starlink satellite links, maintained real-time communication and coordination, even when traditional networks were disrupted. Weaponization strategies focused on maximizing both precision and psychological impact. Unlike conventional artillery or missile strikes, FPV drones allowed operators to manually guide munitions to their targets, adjusting course in real time to account for movement and obstacles. This approach reduced collateral damage and enabled strikes on high-value assets, tanks, ammunition depots, and command vehicles, with minimal resources. The adaptability of the drones meant that payloads could be customized for specific missions, from anti-armor grenades to small explosive charges designed for infrastructure sabotage. Perhaps the most significant tactical evolution has been the use of coordinated drone swarms. Rather than launching individual attacks, Ukrainian units began deploying waves of small drones simultaneously. These swarms overwhelmed vehicle defenses and electronic countermeasures, creating confusion and chaos within even tightly packed convoys. The psychological effect is immediate. Crews are forced to abandon vehicles, supply lines are disrupted, and armoured advances stall under the threat of relentless aerial attack. The constant presence of drones overhead has forced Russian units to alter their movement patterns and devote increasing resources to counter drone measures, often with limited success. The impact extends beyond the battlefield. The decentralized nature of Ukraine's drone program has made it highly resilient to supply chain disruptions and targeted strikes. Production is distributed across multiple locations, with components sourced from a global network of suppliers. Operators are trained and deployed in large numbers, ensuring that losses can be quickly replaced. The result is a system that can absorb setbacks, adapt to new threats, and maintain operational tempo even under sustained pressure. Ukraine's approach has also demonstrated that military innovation is not limited to state-sponsored research or high-budget procurement. By leveraging civilian expertise, commercial technology, and open-source collaboration, Ukraine has built a model for rapid adaptation and distributed problem-solving. The lessons learned on the ground have been quickly shared and implemented, accelerating the pace of tactical and technical evolution. The psychological toll on opposing forces has been substantial. Russian crews, aware that a drone strike can come at any moment, report heightened anxiety and reduced morale. The constant threat from above forces armies to divert attention and resources from their primary objectives, undermining both confidence and effectiveness. Ukraine's DIY drone army has sealed its place as a game-changer in modern conflict. The transformation it has driven on the battlefield now compels militaries worldwide to reconsider their assumptions about power, technology, and the future of warfare. 7 tanks destroyed by drones costing less than a cup of coffee. This is the reality reshaping modern warfare. The $3 drone stands as evidence that innovation and adaptability can outmatch even the most expensive military hardware. Ukraine's use of low-cost components and decentralized assembly has challenged the idea that battlefield dominance belongs to those with the largest budgets. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit like and subscribe to get more frontline tech analysis. Will the next great battlefield be decided by ingenuity rather than budgets? Only time will tell.